The world of professional work has changed rapidly over the past 20 years, and education is often at risk of getting left behind. We want to briefly explore what the future workforce may look like and how the education sector can start to position itself as forward-thinking in relation to its workforce and attracting new talent.
Discussions about the future of work are not really new, but how often do you engage with this topic as a school leader? The big new factor to consider is the impact that the pandemic has had on accelerating some of the trends that were already developing. A focus on how people connect within work, issues such as well-being and inclusion, how we'll adapt and innovate. All these are elements that are changing and will help to transform our organisations and our experience of work. The global consulting firm McKinsey have published research on the lasting impact of the pandemic on the world of work. And they found that jobs with higher levels of physical proximity to other humans are more likely to see greater transformation after the pandemic. So you might be interested to hear that education and training scored 68 out of 100 in this research, with the highest score being medical care at 87. This likely indicates that our sector will see sustained change as a result of the pandemic, and school leaders need to be alive to what this could mean. For example, a faster adoption of automation and artificial intelligence, perhaps resulting in a reduced need for lower skilled admin staff. Do you already see some signs of change? We would like to challenge you to think about how these opportunities and possibilities will impact on the education sector and on your trust in school. Why does this matter? In our view, there's a risk that the education sector could get left behind. While we will never work in the same way as other sectors of industry, there are ideas that we can consider to enhance the attractiveness of a career in education, to provide the best experience for our staff, to keep agile and relevant. It's also vital that our staff are set up to best equip our students for a world of work where most of the job titles don't exist yet. So let's take a glimpse into the future of work and the ways in which schools can respond to it.
So what can we expect from the workforce over the next 10 years? The past 12 months resulted in an urgent shift to remote working, and evidence suggests that after the pandemic, many of these changes will stick, with working from home on a regular basis set to almost double compared to before the pandemic. Flexible working opportunities are attractive to employees and potential employees, especially as employee expectations change with regards to their jobs, careers, and work-life balance, as well as having responsibilities such as caring for children or parents. Home working is, of course, only one way in which flexible working can be introduced, and it is likely that after the pandemic, employers will significantly increase their use of flexible working arrangements, and we'll explore these in more detail in the section later on. People are now living and working for longer, and the ONS latest life expectancy statistics predict an average life expectancy of 90.4 years for boys born in 2043 and 92.6 for girls. An ageing population comes with additional considerations for employers, and as people live longer, they will be working for longer. The 100-Year Life by Linda Grattan and Andrew Scott talks to us about how the current three-stage life of education, career and retirement will be replaced by a multi-stage life with new stages and new potential for greater individual life plans. Much work practice is based on the assumption that the career stage of life involves a commitment to work hard in order to achieve financial success and career progression. In a multi-stage life, only some stages will be based around this principle, and age will no longer be a simple predictor of motivation. People want to change roles, explore different paths and have other experiences, a very different way to the generations that have gone before. We're also seeing Generation Z start to join the workforce, and it is time for us to assess what they want from their employee experience. Whilst Gen Z have grown up surrounded by technology and social media, they still crave face-to-face contact and in-person feedback. A survey by the World Economic Forum also recorded that 77% of Gen Z expects to work harder than previous generations, meaning we need to challenge them and provide them with opportunities to learn to stop them getting bored. 72% also see racial equality as the most important issue today, and that diversity and inclusion should be top priorities for any organisation they work for.
So what can educators consider building into their immediate future work plans with a view to staying agile and relevant? The process is a marathon and not a sprint, but we have 4 suggestions for you to consider. The first is upskilling managers. Increasingly, employees want to invent their own way of working, be more creative, feel like they have an impact, and be able to find meaning in their work. For this way of working to be successful, it requires regular feedback to get it right, and this is where line managers come in, working to a more reliable and frequent model of feedback than perhaps the traditional once-a-year appraisal that we've previously worked to. Research also indicates that a key skill in the future workplace will be conflict management. Given how complex the modern workplace is, multi-generational, using different technologies, a mix of different nationalities and cultures, within that there's a large mix of priorities, working styles and communication preferences, all of which could result in conflict. Indeed, data suggests that the typical worker spends nearly 3 hours every week dealing with some kind of conflict in the workplace. So how well skilled are your line managers in handling conflict within their teams? The second element is about adaptability. So particularly if much of the future of work is as yet unknown, we need adaptable, flexible and empathetic employees who have the skills to handle change or uncertainty. This will also help in building a more inclusive working environment and a more diverse workforce. It's sometimes called the immigrant mindset, being able to handle transition, even if you're not actually migrating to a different country. The skills that an immigrant picks up in handling all those changes are actually really useful in terms of building adaptability, flexibility and resilience. So how can the education sector help existing employees to develop these kind of skills of adaptability and openness, which will be beneficial both for them and for the organisation?
The difficulties of working in a school mean that we are more constrained in our ability to support flexible working by needing to be on site between certain times. But that doesn't mean we can't explore different ways of supporting the workforce. A good way to show staff you support the principles of flexible working is to extend the right to request it from day 1 of employment rather than 28 weeks. Ensure the policies that you have in place allow for an informal stage to aid open discussion and dialogue with an individual and be willing to listen. Are there certain tasks that don't require an on-site presence to complete? Is someone going to be more productive with a few hours at home to focus on a key task away from distractions in the school building? Flexible working doesn't just have to include part-time work or working from home. Have you given consideration to how you can support job shares, longer hours over fewer days, providing employees with core on-site hours but allowing flexibility around the rest of their weekly hours? There are lots of possibilities we can explore. In terms of development opportunities, we want to ensure our workforce has opportunity to continue to learn, grow and develop. As we continue to support an ageing workforce, it is likely we will need to ensure that there are extra stages of education included throughout their working life as we introduce new concepts and ideas. CPD opportunities should be forefronted and different career maps should be explored for each individual. Establishing a school culture that focuses on development allows us to move away from the prove it mindset that can often be seen in appraisal processes to an encouraging conversation about how we can improve.
So in terms of using these ideas in context, have you given thought to your organisation's workforce planning? Not just the immediate succession planning, which would usually take place, but a look ahead to the future to ensure that educational establishments remain employers of choice for generations to come. As people professionals, myself and Kathryn, we are ideally placed to assist organisations in this transformational work, and we hope we have demonstrated the value of including strategic HR people in the conversation. We've run out of time, but hopefully we provided some ideas which might spark conversations in your organisation as to how schools can stay relevant in the new world of work. We hope you enjoy the rest of your day.